Welcome one, welcome all to DeFi Crypto and Airdrops. I am Mike, aka Veteran Crypto, and this is Jeff, aka the Blockchain Report. How's it going, brother?
Doing great, man. Doing great. Got outside, went to my aunt's art show today and picked up a few little. I got a little crochet duck and I got some of my aunt's paintings. You can't really see that. Uh, it's like a little goat and blue-footed boobies. It's kind of blurry, but I'll post pictures later. But yeah, went out and supported my local artist and got some
Nice,
sun.
nice.
I heard you got some nice sun outside today.
Oh
Beautiful day.
yeah, no, it's. I mean, the work never ends. I mean, I got about 20 acres, and I keep most of it, wooded and stuff like that. But I got about five or so acres that I don't
Maintain.
keep it like perfectly manicured. A lot of it's wild, but there's a lot of mowing. So like I maintain, a bunch of jogging trails that I have and the driveway and, around the cabin and stuff like that. So there's always something to do. So it's
Big
nice.
riding mower.
What's that?
You got a big riding mower?
Oh no. I'm
Push
ghetto as fuck. I have a push mower. So yeah, it's
single stroke motor, just yourself.
well, at least it's not one of those ones that had the barrel. Like back in the day, that it didn't even have a
Oh
motor. It
yeah,
was just. Like, I remember as a kid trying to push one of those, like, up over my head. I was like, I hate my
oh man.
life. But well, this is the Bitcoin way. Appreciate you showing up, Brian. Appreciate you. I mean, I know it's the weekend, and it looks like we got a bunch of people on X. So if you want to join the chat, come on over, join us on YouTube, and make sure you
Mhm.
follow. But without further ado, we'll go ahead, Jeff, and show our socials.
I don't think my screen is my screen up there.
And to answer
I need to
Brian's question real quick, it does
add
look
this
like
right
that
here.
the TVL on those plume pools might have dropped a bit because it's only at 224,000 and it was a lot more. I'm guessing that people might be pulling their liquidity out. I'll be getting to this here in a minute. There's some plume news. So go ahead, Jeff.
Uh,
We'll get to that here in a minute.
yeah. Welcome everyone. Appreciate y'all for joining us on this beautiful Saturday. You can catch us live Monday and Saturday, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern, on our DeFi Crypto Airdrops channel here on YouTube, which we do have a lot more people in the chat here. So like Mike said, if you're on X, hop over here for the chat. But we also have our brother channels right here: Discover Crypto, Blockchain Basement, BitLab, my channel, The Blockchain Report, and Vet's channel, Life, Liberty, and Liquidity, where he goes live Sunday nights, 5 p.m. Pacific,
Mm.
8 p.m. Eastern. And they talk about more than just crypto, life, health, politics, law, all the fun stuff. Deep,
Taking
look,
mushrooms.
taking mushrooms, all the spicier conversations.
We talk about everything from like taxes and how
Real
to
life
mitigate.
stuff.
Yeah, basically just life, family. My it's usually my brother, his business partner, who's a licensed financial advisor. My brother's a lawyer and owns a title company, and then of course I'm retired military, and we always have like a guest on or something like that, just to you know just to keep it interesting. But anyway,
Yeah, and they were on. If you didn't see this, millionaires are doing this to protect their wealth with Druth from
yeah,
Blockchain
that was a
Basement.
good one.
Yeah, that was a good one. So really good stuff. And you can catch Vet on X right here at Veteran for Crypto. A lot of alpha that we're sharing on X. So we can't necessarily share everything on YouTube. So if you haven't followed us there, also you can check me out, the BCR142. Make sure that you are following these exact accounts and not one with like a period at the end or like a 3 or anything that looks odd, and usernames. We're just trying to prevent people from getting scammed. We won't
It's
ask you for any money or
As the
investment.
market
So
heats up, you're going to start seeing a lot of it. So
yeah,
be careful. And
and Discord
it's
especially.
super easy to get a hold of us. If you're following us. So if you're in the new Discord, or if you're following us on X, it's really easy to spot. So
Yeah. So yeah, just be safe. And yeah, reach out to us if you can, because I know sometimes it won't say it on here, but I do have a Discord that um, it's I think it's somewhere in I think it's in the description of our videos. I think I
It is.
put my Discord in there. So
It should
if
be.
you ever I have a bunch of I'll actually show my Discord right now. So yeah, I got a bunch of channels, especially stuff for test nets. So people interacting, asking questions, and we will share links in certain. I give certain people what.
Just be careful out there. That's the long and the short of it.
Oh, just be safe. Just be
Yeah.
safe. All right. We over to you.
Yep.
Wait, where's
All
that?
right. Yeah. If you could give me the screen back.
Let me toss it.
Right, yeah. Awesome.
Oh.
Sweet. You're gonna have to teach me how to do that. I like the smooth transition.
Hey,
So,
who's in the other chats? What other
so this
which
is
other
the new
channels?
Discord for Discover Crypto. It's called the Discover Investment Group. If you start an account using their link on LBank, then you can get I believe it's a free membership to this, and it's usually $99 a month. So you know, it might be worth starting an account over there just to get a free membership here. But it gives you access to Drew and Isaac over at Blockchain Basement. It gives you access to DZ, Josh, and TJ on the main Discover
Mm-hmm.
Crypto channel. It gives you access to me and Jeff. I'm in there almost 24/7. Answering questions, sharing pools, that have really good yield, and just tips and tricks and stuff like that. But it's a great place to join, the community. I guess is the best way to put it. So, without further ado, let's jump into some news real quick. If you're into Plume, this is a must. It's just plume.org/blog, but it's all the latest news on Plume. If you're bullish on Plume. So this is some of the stuff that I found today while I was perusing X. The timeline is buzzing about Ondo recent collaborations with JP Morgan and PayPal. But have you seen this? Over 100 partners with no signs of slowing down. And down here with my Plume eyes, I spotted Plume down here. So um, there's a bunch of partnerships going on with RWAs. If you look over here on rwa.xyz, this is kind of what I'm going to be talking about today. This is episode 3 in my DeFi series, talking about the tools that I use to find good pools and things like that. So you can see that the TVL for RWAs is going parabolic. I mean, it's just pumping. And there's just new news every day about a new a new institution that's tokenizing billions and billions of dollars, and putting those assets on chain. So next up we got DeFi Llama. That's another tool I'm going to be talking about. It's now tracking
Mm-hmm.
Plume Network's PUSD, their stablecoin. So if you go over here to DeFi Llama, I pulled it up in advance. There is just over $23 million of TVL, and this just popped up today. So in one day, you got $23 million worth of TVL that has started going on chain to, and Plume mainnet hasn't gone live yet. This is all pre mainnet, and so that is why I think that we are seeing, to answer Brian's question about that TVL. That's why I think this TVL dropped. It looks like about 1.4%, not a whole lot, but I think that's why it dropped a bit. Is I think people might be pulling their liquidity out because they're expecting a pump once the main net goes live. And so they want to get that full price appreciation, and then they'll probably stick it back in so that they can start earning yield. Me personally, I'm just leaving it here. It's I might miss out on, on some price appreciation, but I have a full range pool that I should, be getting, a good amount of the price appreciation. Plus, I've been letting my yield build over on the side, that isn't in the liquidity pool. All these
Are you
fees.
doing that weekly or a couple weeks? Like, what's your schedule for that?
It just depends. Usually I like to see at least $100, in something, as far as earnings before I harvest it. But
Okay.
if I'm gonna open up a new pool, if I want to, lock in, lock it into stables or something like that, because I think that we're gonna get a pullback. It really depends. So there's that. Let's see what else we got real quick before I kick it over to you. We got, looks like the Plume utility is upon us. If you're not following him, not telling is really good, not just with Plume, but a lot of really early alpha on a lot of really good projects. I would suggest following. But Plume Network, the Genesis assets powering the RWA Fi ecosystem. You got Plume that I'm always talking about. You got PUSD, which is the stable coin. And then you got uh, Plume ETH, is a Plume version of ETH created by depositing ETH into the network via Dinero. That ETH is staked automatically to generate yield, while users receive ETH in return, a liquid token that can be used across Plume's DeFi and RWA apps, just like ETH or Rapid, earning passive income. So what this is saying is it's a DeFi play to where you can have PETH, and you can be earning yield off of it, and you get a liquidity token on top of it that you can take and use on DeFi, on
Mm.
Plume DeFi to earn yield on. So it's that yield on yield. So you're
Uh-huh.
buying an asset to earn yield, and then you're getting a liquidity token that you can take and use to earn yield as well. So
Mm-hmm.
very bullish on PE. Just want to throw that out there. Again, not telling. Plume mainnet launch this month. TVL starting to skyrocket. Here we go. Plume mainnet total value lock. And this is old, but there's 13.84 million an hour ago, and I just got done showing you that we are now up to 23 million. So that tells you in an hour that's what, 4 million? Oh no. So 14 million and 9 million. It's gone up 9 million in the past hour, according to,
Jeez.
according to this.
Whew.
So I am severely bullish on Plume. If anybody that watches me in the chats in the morning knows that I
Yeah.
love some Plume, and not just for the yield that I've been earning. Mainnet alpha loading around 50 million TVL so far, and it's only the beginning. Aerodrome highlights from this past week. Aerodrome, another project I'm very bullish on. It's right up there. Plume and Aerodrome are my favorites. But the highlights: the highest volume increase ever. All-time volume soars past 200 billion. Flash blocks is coming, which is going to speed up the transaction time to like milliseconds. I think it's like 200 milliseconds or something like that instead of like 2 seconds.
Oof.
So super
Oof.
fast transactions. Aerodrome dominates and has been Coinbase wrapped ETH and Coinbase wrapped Bitcoin. It's even beating Uniswap. Aerodrome on these two are destroying everybody as far as
Let's
volume.
go. Let's
Loving
go.
it. Record breaking increase in fees, and I'll go over that in the tools that I'll be showing you. PGF acquires and locks 2.1 million Arrow, and there's always new stuff getting listed. I already talked about this. All right, and that's about all I got for news. Do you want to go ahead and kick over to your topic, and then you can kick it back to me, and
Oh
I'll go
yeah.
DeFi tools.
Yeah. So I'm going to kind of go over so we talked about last week the wallet, setting up the wallet for the channel, and
Mm,
we're
bullish.
only we're only working on test nets that are free. So I'm going
Mhm.
to kind of show you all the different projects, and I won't dive too deep into them just because of the time constraint, but I will kind of go over each one. And I've done videos on, I think, just about all of these. So, I can share the links in the description of this video after we finish the live stream. But let me go ahead and share. Now, some of these I still have to set up our other socials, Discord and Telegram. So once we get those set up, I'll be able to hit all of these. But I'll go through the ones that um, I've had some issues finding the testnet tokens. Where's my screen?
So to give the people that might be new,
Yeah.
basically what we're doing is we talked about in an episode that basically with no money, you can start
Hmm.
building a portfolio, a crypto portfolio with zero money out of pocket. And the way that we're going to do that and show you is this is a very unique channel. There's Jeff, that's the airdrop guru, and then there's me that knows enough about DeFi to be dangerous. And so basically what we're going to do is Jeff created a wallet for the channel separate from his own, and he's going to start doing these airdrops. He's only, like he said, he's only going to do airdrops that are free, that
Hmm.
doesn't cost us anything, out of
Yep.
pocket. So, that's the criteria. They have to be free. And that's what he's about to show you. Whenever he gets these airdrops, then I'm going to take that liquidity and I'm going to use it to DeFi to start earning us yield and start compounding that yield. And we're going to see how big we can grow this portfolio, and we'll give you updates each episode. So with that, sorry Jeff, go ahead.
Yeah. Oh no, thank you. Yeah. So because after I think it was Initia, when I got that, I was like, man, we can really like teach people how to earn free crypto and then use that to earn more free crypto. So it's definitely powerful. So you want to use a crypto wallet that isn't one that you're interacting with all the time. Just set up one only for airdrops, just because of the security vulnerabilities that can happen in this testnet development space, because they're essentially building out these products in a test environment, and what we're doing is testing out these different applications, swapping, trading, um, minting NFTs, and it's all in this fake, like using fake crypto. So these projects will reward you for your interactions with these testnet applications. And sometimes the project or the network.
I couldn't resist. Sorry.
Oh, man. Little drummer boy.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
And it's a good way for you to learn about different projects and how these applications work, especially DeFi stuff. When you're in the arena with your real money, you don't want to fuck around. Um, I see a lot of people doing the paper trading, in traditional finance and stuff. People would paper trade and make all kinds of crazy gains, and then they'd come into where it really counts, and your emotions are all over the place, and it's not the same, man. And your account gets bone dry.
And
So
when there's blood on the line, things change. Things change.
your booty is that tight, man. No, no titty. But so I
Couldn't drive a pin in your ass with a sledgehammer.
no. Ooh. Oh man. Oh, who is that? John? Who is that dude? The hammer the railroad that went against the machine. What was
Oh,
that old folk tale?
I know who you're talking about. He
Oh,
had he had the blue bull, like
yeah,
like
yeah.
Bessie or
And he
something
ended
like
up
that.
dying from trying to compete with the machine or something. It was yeah.
I'll keep going. I'll look it up.
But I initially started with the Coinbase wallet, but I was having trouble um, getting the network. on these test nets to automatically change. Because when you switch to like Optimism Network or Arbitrum in these applications, you want it to switch in the wallet automatically. MetaMask, you kind of have to go in and change the network. I don't remember where it's at on here. Yeah, you have to change your network, right? And some wallets do it automatically, and it's more of a pain with the test nets because not all wallets have all the test nets integrated. So sometimes you have to add the network manually, which can be a pain in the ass because then you have to find the RPC URL, which is like the chain address, the chain ID. But there are chainlist.org is a good place for any networks. If you need to find a network to add to your wallet, Chainlist is good, and you can connect your wallet here and it will automatically add it. And you can see different like privacy score, privacy and these scores that will come with these network. It's just like a network address. Some will give you faster transaction speeds, and some, like if you're using the default one, sometimes you can have bots front run you, and it's popular on the Ethereum network. Well, where somebody will have a bot front run transactions and basically like steal the value. I don't know. It works so crazy, but basically they steal your funds using a bot. So some of these will have, like these you don't want to connect to. So just a little tip on searching for networks and stuff to add. And if you need to find a test net, you can come here. But like I said, I have a lot of stuff on my Discord that you can get that information to. But Coinbase wasn't working very well switching networks automatically, and it was just having trouble connecting to some of these test nets. So Zerion wallet is a great one. And I know I've used Zerion, their dashboard and stuff. They have like a swap and a bridge years ago, but they have one of the top wallets, and the Rabby wallet too, the one that I normally use, but I wanted to use a different wallet for this. So yeah, I set that up and start off. Actually, I have a testnets folder, and this helps me stay organized. So I got all the stuff that I want to interact with on a daily basis. And I have another folder on my other, I have like different profiles in my browser that have different wallets, like my main blockchain report one and my backup wallet and the one for our channel. So each profile has different bookmark folders and stuff. And I have one that I do like 3 days a week that I interact with these projects, 3 days a week instead of daily, because some stuff doesn't require daily interaction. So I know it sounds like a lot. That's just because I do all the different test nets and I try and do everything because I'm a bit of a maniac, and I have a channel that I just like to share all the information, and I'm kind of a degen that way. But I would just recommend to pick like one or two that seem like they would be the most or the easiest to interact with, and then build out from there. And I'll show you a couple on here. But Rise testnet, you can get your testnet tokens that you will use for making transaction fees. This is in Ethereum. They have Mogcoin and stuff. So you input your wallet address here. Just kind of walk you through. And I don't know if I can get, okay. Sometimes every 24 hours, usually you can request testnet tokens. And then they have their applications here, like a decentralized exchange, DeFi exchange, NFT. And it's just, you don't really know. It's kind of hard to tell, like with the airdrops and qualifying for them because
Well, they're
pro-
all of them are so different. Each
yeah,
airdrop is like the things that you have to do to qualify for the airdrop, and the hoops you have to
mhm,
jump through, and the tasks that they want you to do, and things like that. And honestly, it's kind of what has kept me from doing it, personally. Is
mhm,
it's just it's very time intensive, and so trying to do all this stuff for the channel and taking care of my property and stuff like that.
mhm.
I get it. It's like especially people that are new to crypto, it might not be as far as time. If you got family and you just got all this stuff going on. So, I mean, is there like a
Mhm.
tool that you could show us that, maybe I know that there is, but could you show the audience, maybe that tool that I forget what it's called that shows like, the easy ones and some of them that are more involved and then the hard ones and because
I think that's on Crypto Rank.
well that's going
Um,
to help people out quite a bit. I think, with finding airdrops that they have
Let me
time for
see.
and that match their skill level.
Mhm. Yeah, this
Yeah,
yeah,
that's
right
it.
here they show so cryptorank.io, and then in the products tab there's drop hunting. So you can come in here and they have the name of the project. Let's click on this, and yeah, the funding you want to pay attention to as well. But we'll just click this yellow. I've done stuff with yellow in the past. They have the yellow
Well, and
wallet.
there's all kinds of filters in there. So, like, if you want to, look for DeFi, DeFi projects. If you want to, look for, metaverse projects, gaming projects,
Hmm.
social fi projects, whatever. It's if there's certain narratives that you're chasing or something like that. It's a really
Yeah.
good tool. I mean, and
Like you said,
probably it's
whatever fits your style. Hmm.
and your knowledge, your skill level. You can
Hmm.
look for skill level. You can look at difficulty. You can look at narrative. And I mean, this is probably the best place to start if you're looking for airdrops.
Yeah. Yeah, because they break it down really nice. They have these campaigns that are open or if they're closed, what entails completing these tasks or what's involved, connecting your wallet on the website. And some of them they're pretty detailed. So it's nice, having that visual representation. But I know a lot can get lost, especially when you're interacting with these and you come into technical issues like connecting wallets or getting like if you didn't know anything about the testnet tokens and they didn't say it on this page, you'd be like, why isn't my transaction going through? So a lot of the videos or all the videos I do, any technical issues that I run into, I walk through and just explain, or any issues I've seen, I'll mention them and just kind of go over how to avoid them. But that's another thing. If you need to ask technical questions, please reach out to me because I'll be happy to help, in any way.
Don't ask
And
me about airdrops because I all I'm going to do is tell you to ask Jeff. I'm the DeFi guy.
so yeah, and they have an X score, which some of it I wouldn't pay too much attention to because they can kind of bot this X score. But I've seen
What is an
projects
X
with real
score?
it. I don't know. Let's see. The score is provided by the Moni team and is based off the level of attention this account has received from smart followers.
Oh,
So
okay.
yeah, but yeah, and you see Sonic's on here. They they're doing their airdrop next month, dude.
Dude, that our channel wallet needs to be on that.
Um,
We need to
no, because
freaking.
the test net's over.
Oh,
Yeah, the
you
Son.
mean that like they're actually going to do the drop for what they already
Yeah.
did? Oh, that sucks.
Well, and not the. So I don't remember if I did anything on the test net, but Sonic is the next phase of the Phantom chain, right? The Phantom
Yeah,
did
yeah.
Sonic, and I
Sonic was
did,
Phantom, and then it became Sonic.
yeah, and I did this on the Phantom mainnet where I had to complete certain tasks
Mm.
and mint these 6 NFTs that were shards. And if you collect all these shards, then you can mint this whatever this NFT is, but it's for the airdrop. So, oh, I got my
You zoomed
hey
in.
zoomed in. So they just launched this this past week. So they're getting ready for the Sonic airdrop next month. And yeah, if you've been providing liquidity, you should have some points on your dashboard. Because I know you've been doing some DeFi stuff in there.
Oh, yeah. No, I might. That'd be freaking
Yeah.
cool.
Now I'll show you. Now there's some other DeFi stuff. I'll kind of run through these quick. So Valhalla, an on-chain perpetuals exchange. This one, some of these I honestly I can run through these in like 15 minutes. Because if I have them bookmarked and I open them all up at the same time, I can just come in here because they don't require a lot. I could just do one transaction, and like down here I have a trade going that I took some profits on, and this is all fake. So I just come into each one of these and just do one interaction, one
Mm.
transaction, whether it's depositing, like this is repaying a loan or supplying liquidity. Um,
Yeah, so I mean, so basically, for
so
going through the site and clicking on the buttons and kind of stress testing it for them, and just make
yeah,
basically you're beta testing this these projects for them, and for that they're giving you their
and
token as an
see,
airdrop.
I can play a little game too on here.
Nice,
This
nice.
Iris, so I get the testnet tokens, and so some of these do take a little bit longer, but
Oh, hey,
many of them you can just
KJM is asking you. I accidentally somehow bridged my chain link into Phantom and
mm,
can't figure out how to reverse this. Is that something that you could help them with?
mm. Oh, is Chainlink on Phantom? I'd have to
I
look at
don't
the
know.
contract. Yeah, send the transaction ID or do you have and I can look it up on the block scan. Um, oh, oh no.
Oh, Tetris.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So yeah,
KJM.
see?
Reach out to Jeff on X, and he'll see if he can help you out.
Yeah. Yeah, cuz that'll yeah, that's a funny one. I had years ago, I sent some funds to an exchange. I think it was Binance actually, and it was on the wrong network, but somehow they were able to push it back. But I don't know as far as
Well, I mean, like just have KJM just send that over,
yeah.
that transaction ID on X to him, and we'll see if we can help you out.
Yeah, so like something like the Rise testnet would require a little bit more time just because there's a lot more dApps to interact with. And some of
Got
these you don't they're not live. Like there's not a lot you can do. Some are for developers, but like this, you can swap tokens and provide liquidity in some liquidity pools. So you can do a couple transactions in here, move on to the next one, do a transaction here. And each one of these is pretty simple. I've covered them pretty much all of these in videos on my channel. And
it.
see, this is Uniswap style where you just supply liquidity and borrow, and
Oh, you mean more like Aave, where you're
or
borrowing and
Aave,
lending?
yeah,
Yeah.
not Uniswap. Sorry.
Oh,
For
no,
some
you're good,
reason, I
man.
get those two mixed up.
Dude, there's so many freaking protocols out there. I'm always learning. As soon as I think I got as soon as I think I even got a protocol figured out, like Aerodrome, they'll change something. So, I mean, it's
Yeah.
constant work.
Yeah, so this is basically how I do it. I come in usually daily projects that require daily check-ins reset at midnight UTC. So some projects I'll interact, and this is like mainnet stuff, not testnet. So I usually start sometime after 5 p.m. Pacific time or whenever midnight UTC is, and I open up my folder. I open right here. I click. Let me close all these, and I'll open all of the stuff I have bookmarked in my testnets folder. Or like over on this profile, I have my daily tasks that I interact with, and then Monday, Wednesday, Friday tasks. So I'll just hit this and open up all of them, and then boom, 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 boom. I go down the line
How'd that go again?
and boom, boom, boom. Oh, the the boom, boom, boom
Boom, boom, boom. All right.
right here. So yeah, if and the more you get a routine down, the easier it's going to be. So just, start with a couple, like this Iris one, this Iris Arcade. It's really easy. It's just getting the testnet tokens and then playing a game. But, I'll share the links I'll get a handful that are the easiest to interact with.
Nice.
And that way we can get some people started on a few of these. And yeah, it's once you get a system down, that's what I found really helped me, because I would miss a bunch of stuff, a bunch of airdrops early on, and I wasn't writing stuff down. And I have a whiteboard right here that I have shit written down on, so it's really helped me stay sane.
Yep. Yep.
and
All right,
and
brother. I
so
appreciate it.
yeah,
All right. Yeah, if you want to kick it over to me, I'll see if I can squeeze the rest of this into the 20 minutes. My neighbor, that helped me build my cabin, his wife is from Thailand. They have a Thai restaurant in town, and they invited me
ooh,
over for dinner at 6 o'clock. So I I,
oh
I
shit,
got I
yeah,
got I
you
got
gotta
to
go.
move.
Oh, and don't remember to disconnect from the applications in the wallet when you're done.
Yes.
In the wallet, you go to the settings, the little gear icon, and you can look at connected sites and disconnect from all of those. So very important with the test nets,
Yes,
especially.
absolutely. I'm glad
But
I'm
go
glad you
ahead,
remembered
Mike. Go
that.
ahead.
All right. So, what we're going to cover is the DeFi tools that I personally use to find profitable pools that to earn yield and the most fees. And I'm going to focus take a time. I'm going to focus on Uniswap and not necessarily liquidity pools and things like that. But I want to know get a feel for the liquidity. So
Oh, he
6%.
dropped. Is he back?
Oh, sorry.
Oh, you
So
good?
I just like to know how the money's moving, because anybody that's been in DeFi for more than a day knows that volume, TVL and volume is what we look for. And so, you need to keep your finger on the pulse of how the liquidity is moving. And RWA.xyz, shows you, the tokenization, the amount or the TVL of real world assets being tokenized. So it just gives you an idea. The most important tool that you will use in DeFi is DeFi Llama, and the majority of it's free. I can go on for hours, but I'm going to limit myself to just the high points for this. So under DeFi overview, I always come in here, and at the top, this is just the overall dashboard. I make sure that TVL is turned on, and I turn on DEX volume, because that is going to show. And then you can come down here to the bottom, slide this over so that it zooms in on the latest. And I like to know, you can see that we're petering off a little bit, but the TVL isn't dropping. So the volume is dropping off a little bit. We went into the weekend. It's to be expected, but the TVL is holding at 40 billion. So, it's not like,
Hmm.
people are pulling their liquidity out. It's just there's not a whole lot of people trading. There's not a whole lot of people swapping. The
Hmm.
weekends are usually, there's a lot less going on. So, don't get too freaked out by that. A lot of really good data on here. And I'll get into some other stuff here in a minute.
Ooh.
So this is one of the things that I like to look at is stablecoin pools. So if you're looking for a good place to put your USDC, your USDT, or other stablecoins, this is a great place to come to find out what the best place that to earn the best APY. Um, it gives you the chain that it's on, it gives you the TVL, it gives you the APY. You can look at volume. There's a lot of things that you can look at here. Um, I personally stay away from obscure protocols, or sites. I again try to stick to Uniswap, Aave, Aerodrome, good, solid, reputable, protocols or sites. That's just me personally. If you want to go more
Mhm.
degen, that's on you. Um,
Or use a different wallet.
yeah, absolutely. But those protocols can go down, and they
Yeah,
can take your
true.
money. This is called a correlations matrix. I'll get into what this is used for here in a minute. Then we got Dex Screener. Dex Screener is where you look up liquidity pools. And I'm just going to blaze through these real quick because I'll be looping back. I just want you to understand what each of these are. Dex Screener is in, as you can see here, it brought up my wrapped ETH USDC that I have liquidity in, and you can see that this is my range that I'm currently in, and I'm out of range again.
Hmm.
So we'll go over that here in a minute. Of course, if you've watched me at all, you know about Aerodrome, and then these are a bunch of different platforms on Dune Analytics. This is people like you and me. Maybe not people like you and me. People that like are like Jeff that are really smart on this kind of stuff. They can build out these dashboards that collect
Mm.
basically data from anywhere that they want, and they share it with the community. So there is a bunch of these. So this one here is has to do with the rewards program for the locks, the flight school. This one here has to do with looking up the arrow yield. So this has to do with the locks and the VE arrow relays. Like the amount of liquidity that's in there, and how that liquidity is moving. This one here shows all the pools that are on Aerodrome, the fees in the past 7 days. So that gives you an idea, like this USDC arrow. It's made the most fees in the past 7 days with $207,000 of fees paid out to, if people that have liquidity in that pool. So these are the kind of things that you use to know what pools are generating the most fees, because the ones that are generating the most fees, they're paying those fees out to people like me and you. So you don't want to be entering into a pool that isn't generating any fees, because you're not going to get paid on
Oh.
it. So that's the long and the short of that. And then here's this one. So
Yeah,
this
that
one,
1000% APY doesn't look so good.
no, yeah, if it's not generating fees, it doesn't matter what the APY is. And this one is just a Dex matrix on base. So this is just all the different protocols that are on base. It shows analytics as far as you can look over here. You can see Aerodrome is 55.3% of all volume on base, and then you got base swap is 32.9%, or excuse me, Uniswap is 32.9%. So you can see Aerodrome, as far as base, the base mainnet, is blowing Uniswap out of the water, by a good portion. You just everybody else, which is next
Ooh.
to nothing compared to these. So, this right here shows me, why I'm so bullish on base, or on Aerodrome. But then you got active daily users. So Uniswap is, because they have Ethereum, they have Base, they have, Unichain, they have
All the chains.
just massive amounts of chains. So of course they're going to have a lot more users. Something to keep in mind, because again, more users, the more, swaps that are going on and trading and things like that, to where you're generating fees. These are all just really great tools, but this is all on Dune Analytics.
There ain't no
Um,
chain better than two chains.
that's
Hey,
right. That's right. That's right.
two chains.
All
Oh,
right. So, how to use DeFi Llama? I'm not going to go too deep on this. It's better that you just go to DeFi Llama and you just explore. Start going to all these, different tabs, and just, learn your way around. You got the overview, you got the different chains. You can look at bridged TVL. So if you want to get a look at, the amount, like Ethereum, they've as far as the amount, it's like $403 billion has been bridged over to Ethereum. 18 billion has been bridged over to Base. This will give you an idea of how liquidity is moving. Again, very important to understand where the liquidity is going. This, will give you a heads up potentially if you see, like SWE. If you see SWE down here, all of a sudden it starts coming up, and it's at 11, 10, 9, 8, and you see the total bridged going up. That could be a good indicator that SWE DeFi might start popping here soon. And so, you might be able to, to front run it and get some liquidity on, SWE DeFi. And when, as that increases, it might be, a good way to get in front of, that volume. So again, I mean, they even have airdrops on here. There's just so many things that you can look up. You got percent yields. You can look at pools and, find out, if you're looking for a certain TVL. You can set ranges. Like if you want to do 250,000, is the minimum range. You can apply that filter. You can go to APY. Say I want to do a minimum of 30%. I can apply that filter. There's just a bunch of stuff you can do and narrow it down instead of going to each, different protocol or each different site to, find,
yeah.
a pool. You can go to an aggregator like this on DeFi Llama, and I'm looking at Uniswap version 3. I'm looking at Aerodrome, all the different Aerodrome. I'm looking at Kinetic. I'm looking at Indigo, Orca, Extra Finance, Cetus. I mean, it has every DeFi platform in one place so that you can see, you know, it saves you time. Like, that's the best way to put it.
Mm-hmm.
So again, this is by far the most powerful tool that I use to find pools. And then of course, you want to cross check the data. You want to make sure that the data lines up.
Well, it's good to
But
use all these things to make, the Dune analytics and seeing the volume and the total value locked and all this data is really powerful for you to make really good investment decisions, especially if, like you said, with the SWE ecosystem, if you see that their TVL is ramping up, or like Sonic when they just launched, the Sonic mainnet a few months ago, they had this big push for getting TVL, liquidity onto the network, and they're gonna push for some juicy rewards in these DeFi protocols, especially when the networks launch. Barachain too, they had some pretty high APY, and capturing that, at least for a few months is powerful. And then if it kind
yeah,
of dies off, you want to move it to a different, like Base or Plume. I've found that the Plume pools have been really doing, like, at least 0.5%, a day for
Well,
me or
I mean, you
more.
can look right
So,
here. You can look down here. When you go to the actual pool, the Plume
hmm
USDC, you can do it by the hour. You can do it by the day. You can do it
uh,
by the week. You can do it by the month, and you can see, how it's been performing. So like,
hmm
by the month, um, it looks like May 11th, we had, let's see, 233,000, worth of volume, worth of fees. So you had, 2,334. So, it's, data is important, to see how it's trending. Is it going up? Is it going down? And a lot of it depends on how the markets are doing. If the market's pumping, you're going to see a lot of people flood in, and, a lot of movement. So we're going to do an exercise to wrap this up. Hold on one sec. I got to sneeze.
uh, exercise. Oh,
Oh, oh yeah.
exercise. Yeah. Oh, R.I.P. Richard Simmons.
All right. So we're going to do a quick exercise. What we're going to do is say that I am wanting to do I have some liquidity. I want to enter a pool. So I'm going to use Uniswap because it has a lot to choose from.
Shallow end
So
first.
what's that?
Shallow end first.
Yes, yes. So I'm going to sort. So actually, real quick, let me share this on my X profile. These are the DeFi rules that I live by. Um, it's pinned to the top of my profile on X. Follow me there, and you'll be able to see this. Copy it,
DeFi
make it your
commandments.
screensaver, whatever. I got it from Crypto Labs Research. I made the image, but this is what I learned from them: is when you're choosing a liquidity pool, make sure that you believe in the assets. Me personally, I don't fuck with memes. If it needs to be a blue chip, it needs to have strong fundamentals. It has to, it has to do something. It has to have a docs team. I do all my due diligence on
Hmm
the project, and so I have to believe in the assets long term. The reason is if it goes out of range, if it dumps like the market did the past couple of months, and it goes out of range to the bottom, I don't want to lock in losses by exiting that position. I would rather stay in the position and wait for it to rebound and go back into range. So it's easier to stay in that position if you are confident that it's going to go back up eventually than if it's a meme coin and you don't know if it's going to go to zero. So believe in the assets. Second, TVL of $250,000 or more. Also, you want equal to or greater than volume. So you want 250,000 in volume or more per day. You want to use a trusted DEX like Uniswap, Aerodrome, Aave, a major DEX. You want a high correlation, which brings us back to this. This is that correlation tool that's on DeFi Llama. Say that I want to get in, and you can hit these little plus symbols and you can add whatever assets you want. So say we're going to do Plume, and it has USDT, but this one is USDC. So I'm going to add that. So Plume USDC. Let's go to the 1 month. So the 1 month Plume USDC, it's showing not that great of a correlation. And what correlation is how well the assets move together. So obviously USDC is a stable coin, so it's not going to move. Plume is going to go up and down in price. Plume has done really good at trending sideways. I'll show you here in a minute. So
hmm
this one has been like a workhorse. I know that Ellie's in this, Jeff's in this, I'm in this. My brother Taylor, he got his boys. He put like $500 for each of them into Plume Pool, and so like he has them hooked. there's a bunch of people that are in this pool that
You
have been
down with
earning.
PLP? That plume liquidity
Yeah,
pool? You down with
right.
PLP?
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
you know
right.
me.
No, Plume is fucking earned. So,
Oh man.
so yeah, basically what it is especially if you have two volatile assets like Bitcoin and ETH or something like that, one might dump while the other one's pumping, and you'll get
Mhm.
divergence loss and things like that, and you'll be out of range a lot. So that's what correlation is, and it's important to understand if how well they're correlated. So again, really good tool on DeFi law. So we're going through here, and let's just pick one at random. Let's right now Uniswap has these bonuses on a lot of these pools. So let's pick what's something. Okay, this one. Let's do an ETH wrapped Bitcoin because it's two
Mm.
volatile pairs. So let's go over to the correlation and let's do wrapped ETH. And what was it? Wrapped Bitcoin? Yeah, wrapped Bitcoin.
Yeah.
And we'll do wrapped BTC. All right. So it on the month, if you looked at wrapped ETH and wrapped Bitcoin, they are highly correlated. It's almost a solid one. One is the max. So you got 0.92. That might be a good pool. Now let's go
Oh.
back. Let's go back. And so we're looking at this ETH wrapped Bitcoin. What does it have? TVL is 38 million. Fucking titties.
Nice.
24-hour volume, 29 million. More than 250. More than 250,000.
Yeah, a little bit.
Awesome.
Uh,
24-hour fees, $14,000 in the past 4 hours. We're in a weekend. That's still really good, really good fees. And you look at here and you can see that it's just earning steady fees, nice and steady. So now I would say this pool has potential. Next step is you go up here and you hover over this right next to the ETH wrapped Bitcoin. There's these little boxes. You click on that. That is the pool address. So I just copied it. Now I come over to Deck Screener, hit the search, and I right click and paste, and you see it pops up. It's wrapped Bitcoin and ETH. Click on that, and it brings up the chart. So now we're gonna do some basic hillbilly TA. Now you can see that it's been ranging. I'm on the 1 hour right now. So that is the lowest time frame I would suggest. Reason being, I don't care what it's doing on the 5 minute. I don't care what it's doing on the 15 minute. I want to look at the longest time possible because I want to
mhm.
be in range as long as possible. So I want to know what it's doing over a longer period of time, not in the short term. I don't care, how it's moving, minute by minute. So 1 hour and 4 hour is what I usually use. So on the 4 hour, you can see that this pool has been ranging in this area. So I come up to here, I pick horizontal line, and I look at for a line of support. And you can see that these candles, I go by the candle bodies, not the wicks. I don't care if it wicks out for a
Mm.
second. I want it to know, where it is the majority of the time during that 4 hour period. So I might put my line of support right there. Next, I look for my line of resistance. What is it bouncing off of on the top end? Again, I look at candle bodies. I don't look at wicks. So I'm going to select that. You can see it was just beating its head violently up against that. It came down here, it beat up against this, came up here, beat up against that, came down here. It's just ranging. So these are my levels. If I want to do a ranged position on this pool, that meet our all our other criteria, then I'm looking at 101.7, and I'm looking at it in USD, 101.7 and 104.2. So I come back to here, add liquidity, and I go to here, continue, and I want to do a custom range. If I want to maximize my yield. So I can do a full range, and no matter what the price does, I'll always be earning yield, that good, steady yield. I suggest that you have some pools that you do that with, so that you don't go out of range. The foundation of your portfolio, and I practice what I preach, so that you have a good foundation of monthly earnings, and then do some range to maximize your yield earning. So like my plume pool, I have one that is full range, and then I have one that's from 15 cents to 25 cents, which is still a pretty wide range, but I'm earning a lot more on the ranged one. So we look at this, and again, we can look at the month, and we can see these ranges, and we can set, let's see, we can set these ranges so that, again, you can see how this pool is moving. I set the bottom part of my range here, top part of my range here, and then I'm not going to be able to enter the position, but if I was able to enter the position, then it would, basically, it would tell me that, this is my maximum and my minimum. That's the range that I picked. And then because it's a narrower range, I'm going to earn more fees. I really wish that Uniswap would do something with their user interface that made it more user friendly, because it's really hard. It's easier on Aerodrome and on VFAT to dial in these exact amounts. So like I'll show you real quick, a little bit over time, but that's all right. I want to make sure that you all get a quality lesson here.
Yeah, I noticed some of the dexes are. It's really hard to do custom ranges the way you want them.
Yeah, I mean
Kind of
it's good.
hand
It's good
tied.
that it gives you that chart so that you can kind of hillbilly it. It's not an exact science, but you can kind of still see where it's ranging, and you can pick your range. But I like to really dial it in, and so let's say that we're doing this one. Oh, never mind. Damn it. There we go. All right. So this one, you can see that on Aerodrome, if I go to do a concentrated liquidity where it's a custom range,
I think
I
you're on
can
a different
actually.
screen.
Oh, sorry. Thanks.
Mhm.
So you can see that this USDC Aero pool, if you go into and you pick a concentrated liquidity, actually here, let's do this. The way they updated their UI, so basically you can do a basic pool, which is a constant product AMM, which is a full range, the from 0 to infinity. So that's basically a full range position. Concentrated pools means that you're picking a range. So I'll pick a range. It says, right now 307%. You come down here, and then basically you can pick, like the price of Arrow. So, same thing. You can set a range, based on the price. Everything from 17 cents to $1.88. And then you can, it will tell you, what APR you'll end up earning. So, like with this range that I selected, it's only 25%. You can do plus or minus 10. I'll earn 307%. plus or minus 20, I'll earn 153%.
Mm.
Plus or minus 30, I'll earn 102%. And in a full range, I'm only earning 0.34. So, earning next to nothing, when it comes to a full range position. But again, if the price pumps, I'm not going to end up to where I'm all in on USDC and I lose my exposure to Arrow as Arrow keeps pumping. So,
Mm.
that's if you expect that an asset is going to pump, you might want to do a full range position so that you don't miss out on that price appreciation.
Full
So
range, very important. Very,
so that's
very
pretty much it.
important.
When it comes to the tools that I use, I mean, really, it's DeFi Llama. It is Dex Screener, for ranged positions. And real quick, I want to touch on this because I keep running into people that that keep messing this up. So the flight school bonus, I cannot stress this enough, and this is how I'm going to close this out. You have to enter a position, you have to lock. So if you come here to Aerodrome and you go to lock and you create a lock and then you select, like, if I lock 147 Arrow, it is not going to get the flight school bonus. As you can see here, there are
If it's
several.
$24.99, you're not going to get the flight school bonus.
You're not going to get it. The lock Arrow, get a bonus. Lock 2,500 Arrow or more in VE Arrow to qualify. It has to be 2,500 or more. I would do a couple extra just to be sure.
Yeah, a
Every
VE
four,
Arrow, because that's right. Sometimes they're the price is a little different, and you might get a
so
few less.
every 4 weeks, bonus VE Arrow will be distributed pro rata to all users and protocols with new locks and increased locks. So I guess there is a way to increase your lock. So Ellie, look into that. You might be able to increase that one lock that you were a little
Ooh.
bit short on, and get the flight school bonus for that lock. It does say that you can increase locks. And so, yeah, it has to be in a single NFT, though. It can't be in multiple. You can't have 501 and 2,000 in another. It has to be in one lock.
That's actually really cool. That's cool that they do that.
Yeah.
Because if you accidentally oh shit, I didn't know that. Okay, but yeah, you have to add to that same lock.
Yep.
Not because the same
Exactly.
NFT. Okay,
So
cool.
now, on top of that, as soon as you make that lock, I want you to go here to relays. After you create the lock, your lock will show up under this heading, locks, and you'll see it.
Switch.
Oh, thanks. So under this heading, lock, after you click this and create it, it will display under locks. It will look just like this, lock and then the number. And it will be right there. Now, what you need to do to get an additional bonus, for this one, it's like a 1.3, a 1.25. You can see right here, VE Arrow Maxi Relay, 1.25x boost. So, basically what that will end up doing is if you, for example, you do a 2,500 VE Arrow lock with that 1.25x boost, it will be treated as if you locked 3,125. So I hope that you understand what that means. What that means is when you get the flight school bonus, it's going to be like, say it's 30%. You're going to get 30%, an additional lock of an additional lock, and it'll be like if it's 30%, it's going to be 30% of 3,125, not 30% of 2,500. So you're going to get a lot more
Oh
of
shit.
a flight school bonus. for putting it in this VE Aero Maxi relay. Now, the way that you do that is your lock will be under here. You find the VE Aero Maxi relay and you deposit the lock. You hit this and you deposit it just like I did. This is my main lock that I did. That was 5,100. And this is my flight school bonus that I got. And I put them both in the VE Aero Maxi relay. And they're compounding yield. I want to make sure that people understand this because I don't want you to miss out on money. Ellie, I will start doing some research because obviously, according to this, there is a way to increase that lock that you were a little bit short. So I'll get back to you on that. And I apologize to the community out there because I said it, that you couldn't do it. But according to this right here, it says that, and protocols with new locks and increased locks. So there must be a way to do it. I'll figure it out. So is there any questions in the chat before I go and get me some Thai food?
Was that me that dropped or was that you?
I don't know. But if it was me, Ellie, I'll do some research and find out if there's a way to increase the lock so that you can increase that one and get the flight school airdrop on that. So if there isn't any questions, I think I might go get some Thai food.
Yeah, you go grub, man. No, we appreciate everyone tuning in today. A lot of good stuff. Who's that? Brian, Bitcoin Way, Mountain Magnets, K-Jam. Who else is in here?
Fondleman Nuggets.
Fondleman Nuggets.
Yep.
And we appreciate you all.
Everybody out there on X that's watching and across all the different platforms, please find us on YouTube, DeFi Crypto and Air. It's at DeFi Crypto Airdrops. I added the S today, and come and follow us, and so that you can start increasing your knowledge on DeFi and airdrops, because now is the time to get into this. This industry is growing. Institutions are piling into DeFi. Regulation, as we speak, is being drafted on DeFi and DeFi applications and crypto. You want to get in early. We might not see these yields forever. Earn now so that you get price appreciation, plus price appreciation on the yield that you earn. I'm going to end with this. This is my closing thoughts. I started with about $15,000 back in November. I now have about $25,000, even with the market dump. When we go back up to just the highs that we've seen so far in this run, I'm going to have around $75,000. And that was when I did the math like 2 weeks ago. So I might have more now. I might have around 80,000. So I went just from doing DeFi. I went from $15,000 to potentially I'm going to have $80,000 just from the past 6 months of doing DeFi. That is the power of compounding yield, and rolling those profits back in and opening new liquidity positions and earning yield on yield on yield. I can't stress it enough. Please come in here. I want to see all of you earning money when the markets are going sideways, when the markets are going down, when the markets are going up. That's the great thing about DeFi. When everyone else is complaining that we have boring markets or that they're dumping or whatever, those of us in DeFi are loving life because we're just
the Jerome Powell printer, dog.
we just keep printing money 24/7, 365, no matter what the market's doing. Sometimes it's less, because we don't have the volume, but you're always earning something, and it's all free money. So with that, Jeff, you got any closing thoughts?
No, just we appreciate you all for tuning in. Thanks for hanging out with us, and as always, appreciate it, Mike, with the alpha.
Appreciate you, brother.
Great. We will
Until next
see you
time,
all.
Veteran Crypto out.